Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The program will begin in 5 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The program will begin in 2 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The program is about to begin.
Okay, folks, good morning. Welcome. I feel like it's only appropriate to kick things off today with an aloha on the count of three. 1, 2, 3. Aloha! I think General Smith would probably tell you that you could do better than that. Let's try that again. Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Aloha! All right, as you can see, thank you. As you can see, we have a tremendous turnout for today's event. I'm Alex Brody, Director of Meetings for AUSA. General Brown is our host for this event. Before he comes to the microphone, I have a few comments for you. This morning, I'd like to extend our sincere thanks to our premier sponsor, GoVini, for their exceptional support of LANPAC. Their partnership and commitment are instrumental to the success of this event. I'd also like to thank World Fuel, our breakfast sponsor, for keeping us energized each morning with plenty of Kona coffee. We appreciate your support in fueling our conversations and connections throughout the week. Let's give both sponsors a big round of applause. This room, as you can see, is packed. I see a lot of folks standing in the back. If you're unable to find a seat, additional seating with a live stream of the general session is available in the Honolulu suite. You can also view the sessions directly from the AUSA website at the URL you see on the screen. Your badge is our way of keeping good order for the seminar. Due to the heightened security measures, you will not be allowed to enter the exhibit hall or the general session without it. We ask that you wear it at all times, but if you misplace it, you can stop by our registration desk and our great team will assist you. Speaking of security, the safety of our attendees is our highest priority. This year, you will see an increased presence of officers throughout the hotel. In the event of an evacuation, guests will be directed to exit the hotel. Designated exit routes and assembly areas will be communicated clearly via the hotel's public address system. Lunch. We have a reception in the exhibit halls during the lunch break both today and tomorrow. We hope that you will take advantage of this time to visit with exhibitors. For those of you that have not already bought a lunch ticket, a limited number of tickets can be purchased at registration. Questions. We use question cards at our events. I will periodically walk around the room, collect your questions, and give them to the moderator. For keynote speakers, I will walk around with a microphone. So we ask that you start thinking of your tough questions now so we can hand those off to the panelists and the keynote speakers. Membership. Who here is a member of AUSA? Can I get a hooah? Yeah. AUSA thrives because of members like you. Thank you to those who are members. We appreciate your incredible support. Simply put, you are the reason we can do what we do. When you get a chance, please visit our membership booth near registration, and our wonderful AUSA team will share with you all the great benefits available to being members of AUSA. We have press at our events, so simply put, we are on record and for attribution. We also have an app at this year's event. Our app includes the latest agenda, exhibitor list, and is a one-stop shop for everything you need. If you've not already downloaded our app, please do so now. Using the app will also give you access to speaker bios, so as is our custom, we will not give lengthy introductions of our speakers. Nonetheless, we want all our speakers to know that we appreciate their past accomplishments and acknowledge their professionalism and dedication to the Army. Wireless internet is available throughout the second floor meeting space. Simply log on to Sheridan Waikiki Meetings, and the password, as you can see on the screen, is ARC by GoVini. In our program, for the most up-to-date LANPAC information and agenda, please simply scan the QR code found in our show guide, or as I just mentioned, visit our app. Finally, I'd like to thank all of the companies participating in this year's event. Please note we are providing dedicated exhibit hall hours so that you have plenty of time to visit the displays and spend time with our exhibitors. We have more than 80 exhibits located in the Hawaii Ballroom, out in the foyer, and in the Honolulu suite. All right, with that, I now ask you to ensure your cell phones have been silenced. We will now open the session with a Hawaiian blessing. It is my pleasure to introduce Kumu Ramsey Taum. It is with much aloha that we welcome him to offer the opening for our conference.
Wow. Aloha mai kako. Good morning. Aloha. General Brown, thank you again for the invitation, for being here. It's always a pleasure to be here to share these thoughts and words, and even more so that you've asked for them. The concept of aloha, giving and receiving, the principle of reciprocity, that gift of giving and receiving also comes with a great responsibility. We call that ho'oponopono, the process of making right, putting things into proper order. So before we ask for blessing, we always ask to clean the mess, whatever we bring into the room with us, in our hearts and our minds. And so I want to ask each of you at this moment just to take a second to think about that, to feel it. Is there someone, is there something that weighs heavily on your heart and your mind that may be the time to release? Is there someone to forgive? Is there someone to ask forgiveness from? Because we want to release that before we start the festivities, the conversations. Please take a moment to consider what that might be in ho'oponopono, a release in the spirit of aloha and ho'oponopono. E holukuno no kikino a me ka uhane. He maha lama pono ka manao, ke ola, ke kino, I ka mana wapalua. Alohe, alohe, alohe. Aloha. In the spirit of ho'oponopono, my ancestors and I ask you and your ancestors to forgive us for whatever it is we may have done in word, deed, or action, in thought and maybe thoughtlessness, that may have created the conditions under which you and your families now find yourselves. Please forgive us for whatever it is that we have done that have brought us here today so that we can make things right. In the spirit of aloha, reciprocity, my ancestors and I forgive you and your ancestors for whatever it is that created the conditions that bring us to this time, this space, to share this ha, the air, the vai, the water, and the spirit of I, in Hawaii, so that we may all be looking at a world of peace and aloha. But as we've heard many times before, oftentimes we have to fight for peace. And may we also do that with the spirit of aloha. So again, in the spirit of ho'oponopono, my ancestors and I forgive you and your ancestors. And to this we say, safe travels. Spirit be with you. And take that thing that sits between your heart and your lungs. And remember, whatever we say, whatever we do is expressed on the life-giving breath of Ha, that place that comes from within. And once it leaves our mouths, it can't be brought back. So, may your meetings be filled with aloha and fair winds for all of you. Aloha, aloha, aloha. General Brown, thank you.
What a great way to kick off our event. Thank you so much, Ramsey, for that blessing. Please give Ramsey just one more round of applause. Okay, now it's time to introduce the President and Chief Executive Officer of the Association of the United States Army. Please put your hands together again for General Robert Brown.
Kumu Ramsey, thank you very much for that wonderful blessing. Just amazing. It's tremendous to be here. Let me hear another aloha on three. 1, 2, 3. Aloha! Woo! Fired up crowd. That's awesome. I thought we'd have to do it 2 or 3 times. Well, it's great to be here. What an honor to be here, the strategic centerpiece of U.S. military strength in the Indo Pacific. You know, mahalo for each of you for your presence, this critically important forum. I tell you, we've got the leaders here. We're going to solve a lot of problems, no doubt about it. And the networking and partnership with allies that you'll be able to accomplish here. It'll take you like 3 years to travel and see all these folks. So really, really excited. Absolutely fantastic. This year's theme for LANPAC 2026 is Prevailing Through Transformation and Innovation. Adapting, innovating, and modernizing land forces in the Indo Pacific. Wow, that's a pretty heavy one, okay, but we can do it and absolutely have to get after it. So again, prevailing through transformation and innovation, adapting, innovating, and modernizing land forces in the Pacific. So key in what we're all desperately working on as hard as possible. So the Indo Pacific, no doubt, will define the next era of American security. And the land forces that operate here must be ready. As this year's theme demonstrates, modern conflict has made one thing undeniable: the ability of armies to adapt, innovate, and modernize is no longer optional. It's an immediate requirement if we hope to maintain deterrence in this most consequential region. The U.S. Army, with our regional partners and allies, is really answering that call. What we have learned from modern warfare and the speed of decisions and the need for interoperability and the cost to those who fail to innovate is actively reshaping how we fight, train, and field forces. Transformation in contact is one expression of that, adapting not in theory, but in practice, getting after it, testing the latest, getting it to soldiers early, and really the real and exceedingly complex conditions in the Indo-Pacific are perfect for that, doing the transformation in contact. Together, we're building land power that can deter aggression, operate across vast distances and complex terrain, all types of complex terrain, and win if called upon. Again, we want to deter, that's our goal, but if needed, we need to win. And that's really what this symposium is all about. And again, exchanging these ideas, tremendous educational opportunities, and then the latest and greatest for our soldiers over in the exhibit area. So we've assembled a distinguished lineup of keynote speakers. You're going to start hearing from them shortly. And they'll take a look at examining the organization, generation, and application of land power within the complex operational landscape of the Indo-Pacific. And these sessions are designed to cultivate a comprehensive understanding of the regional area of responsibility, and it's complex. And while still advancing a shared commitment to U.S. Army Pacific strategy, strategic vision, which, again, has displayed a tremendous, explained really well in their strategy document that many of you have on your seats this morning, and you can get a copy of if not. But that's also fully integrated with U.S. Indo-PACOM. So really a tremendous advantage. Also going on next door at the Royal Hawaiian, we've got 100 tremendous young leaders that are really from across the total Army, active, Guard, and Reserve, and then allies as well. And they're working with the Center for Leadership and a leadership forum. And I just say, stop by there if you get a chance. Really a tremendous opportunity. It's gone extremely well over the past few years. I think this year will be the best one ever. To really gain a joint understanding of joint operations and coalition operations, and then building on their leadership. They're joining us via live stream, so they participate in a lot of the educational events as well. So we welcome them and hope they really gain a lot from it. And before we get started, I would like to recognize a lot of hard work went into this, and I'm not going to go through everybody, but a few people to highlight. First of all, here in Hawaii, the amazing community. It's just the aloha spirit that Ramsey was talking about is everywhere. And you have to be so proud to be here. And Hawaii's just been wonderful. Thank you very much, Governor Green, and just amazing the state, what you guys have done to support here. What an amazing community. I want to also thank the AUSA Pacific region, who's done a ton, the Pacific region, to help us. And then the Hawaii chapter in particular, a lot of hard work. The Sheraton Waikiki is doing a great job. They always do, and we thank them for making this event very, very special. And we're very honored to return and host it here every year. Huge thanks to General Ron Clark and the U.S. Army Pacific team. They did the best job I've seen at the educational portion of this, the whole thing pulling it together. But just look, we have record crowds because everybody knows how much you're going to learn, the great contents. Ron, thanks so much. Really appreciate it. And then be sure, as I mentioned earlier, the exhibit floor, we've got just unbelievable industry partners. And you'll see a lot of solutions to challenges out there, those 80 industry partners next door, seeing the latest and greatest so we can get the best equipment to our soldiers when they need it in a timely manner. And also the agenda purposely allows for a lot of networking time because, again, that's the incredible value, learning from each other, networking, and you'll see that really is where the difference is. It's about the relationships and forming those and strengthening those, and you'll have time here to do that. And again, I want to add a thank you to our premier sponsor, Govini, and all our sponsors. We can't do it without them, and really appreciate their support, no doubt about it. Thanks for the sponsorship. To the international officers here, this is the most I've ever seen. It's incredible, 26 countries represented, folks coming from all over. Yes, thank you, international officers, for being here, our allies and partners. No question, it is our advantage, working together, that amazing relationship. Building on the momentum of last year's LANPAC, which, as you remember, was the best LANPAC ever, I think we may surpass that this year. We already have in the numbers, but in quality, it looks like we're headed that way. But we're really proud and steadfast in our commitment and service to the Army here at AUSA. We are deeply committed to our mission, educate, inform, and connect, and do all we can to help our Army. 76 years now we've been going on that mission, and really proud of that for the total Army, active Guard and Reserve, and then special events like this. Well, now it's my honor to introduce the Commanding General and the Command Sergeant Major of the U.S. Army Pacific. They're going to give out a few awards, which is one of the fun things he gets to do. My distinct honor to introduce tremendous leader, General Ron Clark, and then his Sergeant Major, another amazing leader, Command Sergeant Major Jason Schmidt, who will present the award for Pacific Land Force Team's Readiness Challenge. Let's welcome General Clark.
Aloha. Aloha. There are a bunch of people that owe me money because I took a bunch of bets that General Brown was going to say that this was the best LANPAC ever. I win again. Sir, no pressure. Sir, thank you so much. For those of us that have had the benefit of serving with General Bob Brown, you know what a visionary leader he is, not just for AUSA, but the time spent in uniform. Sir, again, it's been my honor to have worked directly for you 3 different times. So thank you for your continued service and for what you do for our Army. Round of applause for General Brown. It's my distinct privilege and honor to welcome all of you to LANPAC 2026. As I know a number of you are exceptionally excited to be here because it's in Honolulu, the great gathering place. What we're going to talk about this week is of consequence. It's about the enduring relationships that we share and robust land power and the network that we exercise here across the Indo Pacific. Your presence underscores the importance of our commitment to security, stability, and innovation in this vital region. During LANPAC this year, we are privileged to host 24 delegations with partners and allies, 15 chiefs of Army, and 16 command sergeants major of Army or senior enlisted leader equivalents. And I'd like to ask that the chiefs of Army, heads of delegation, and command sergeant majors please stand. Cool. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your commitment to partnership, and we look forward to a great week here with you. We also have a number of teammates from across our Army and across the joint force. So again, this is about the power of land power and the network. So thank you to our joint force teammates and from across our Army for joining us for LANPAC this year. General Brown led into it, the Pacific Land Forces Team Challenge. This year, we kicked off our first annual Pacific Land Forces Team Readiness Challenge at Schofield Barracks. It was an international competition hosted by AUSA and featured squads from across 9 countries competing in physically and mentally demanding events designed to test their readiness, teamwork, and interoperability. This competition marks the next step in our cooperation and partnership amongst land forces in the region. The winning team is the UK. Another round of applause for Team UK. Now it's my honor to introduce our governor, Josh Green. For those of us who live Aloha, that have the opportunity to live and serve in arguably one of the greatest places on earth, we have a tremendous advocate, teammate, and partner in Governor Green. No stronger advocate for the state of Hawaii and for the defense of the homeland. We are privileged again to have him with us for the second year in a row. It is my honor to introduce our governor, Josh Green.
Aloha. I thought it was a lot of people last year, man. General, whoa. So we say aloha because we welcome everyone. But before I even glance at a note, let me say humbly, thank you for your service to our nation, to our international community, for keeping us safe. These are challenging times, and I know how important it is what you do. You're putting your lives on the line. You're training other people who put their lives on the line. As a civilian who was a doc, I'll never be able to thank you enough. So a round of applause for you. Thank you for being here. So fantastic for AUSA and LANPAC to be here again. I know it is not necessarily a hardship to come to Honolulu. We get it. But when we're here in this room, when you're 1,000 strong, when you can bring your families to our state, when you can convene with generals from across the world, when you can bring diplomats together and scholars and industry members, it's good for me, for my state, for Hawaii. Because when we welcome you and you bring this expertise, you make us better. You honor us with this insight. I was sharing a moment just a second ago with the general, and I was able to just humbly ask him, what can we do better as governors? What can we do to support your mission so things are safer for you as you dominate, as you bring overwhelming force to, as it was said eloquently, prevent some of the conflicts that may be out there. And so I'm very proud. I'm very proud as a governor to get to be here with you for this day and for these convenings, for these 3-day sessions, because Hawaii feels honored when you come and you bring your expertise. As we all know, we sit at the heart of the Pacific in Hawaii. We are the most isolated landmass on the planet, but geography now connects us in a unique way. People are passing through here. We saw how connected we all are when we went through the pandemic, as virus spread across the globe. My healthcare colleagues and I knew from the start that what came from China would touch us here, and it touched New York, and it touched London, and it went all over the world. And so we know that we're interconnected, and that's why with this relational situation that we have, we can't deny it. We can't deny the importance of, even though we are isolated here on the map, how we are all connected. We're not just a wayward point, we know. And in Hawaii, as you're very well aware, the military is a central part of our ohana, ohana meaning family. We have 43,000 active duty soldiers and servicemen and families in our neighborhoods, in our community, that come to the hospitals that I serve in, the stores, our kids are in school together. We are a family. And needless to say, it's an incredibly important part of my economy here. I don't think that should be glossed over or taken lightly. Dollars that are spent in research and development, dollars that are spent in salaries and service protect us, they help us, and ultimately they help me build housing for the homeless. They help me build out new hospitals. They help me deal with crises that come. Since the last time we spoke, we had a 500-year storm. A 500-year storm. That means we haven't seen a storm like this since Mayor Blangiardi was a little boy. Sorry. I hope Blangiardi and his bald head are somewhere in this. I'd be remiss if I didn't say Mayor Blangiardi, more than anyone, has a deep regard and respect for our soldiers. It's why I can tease him. He's like a great-great-grandfather to me. Thanks, Mom. Didn't know she served. But he respects and loves you, and I wanted to share that from him because he is our leader for Oahu, the gathering place. We are proud to be home to U.S. Indo Pacific. You have been a steadfast partner to us in every way. We malama you, thank you. You care for us, we care for you. And as I shared last year, we will have a relationship this year and this decade and this century and going beyond. It is absolutely without question. There are no politics that should ever intervene in what we do together as a family. There are no questions that should ever be on your mind as you prepare for the future, as you look to technology and you look to support one another and protect our country. So thank you for that. Before I go further, I want to also acknowledge our keynote speaker, General Xavier Brunson. It was an honor to meet you, sir. It is a privilege to bring someone of your stature here to address this extraordinary fire hazard that we call this conference of 1,800 people as they spread. Your voice carries weight. Your leadership carries weight. You obviously have such a great heart and soul. I could tell that in the first moment, so thank you. You know, I tease because we have to have a little bit of levity in these days as you take on the greatest challenges that we all have. But it's great to see you, and thank you for that. General Clark, you're too generous to me. You know, your leadership means something to us day in and day out. I will tell you, to a governor who served in health but not in military service, to know that there is expertise, intelligence, and wisdom there at our backs at all times, it is really a great comfort. Anyone who doesn't take comfort from that presence, who is in a governor's role or a senator's role, is out of their minds. Thank you for this service. Let's give him a round of applause along with General Brunson. General Brown, you're driving this gathering. You're humble. It was mentioned earlier that 3 times you've served together with General Clark. It's not lost on me that we need to have mentors and that we need to be mentors, and I see that relationship in you. And I would just say, as I come to the close of these brief comments, thank you for being mentors to people. Every single one of you, through your rank, through your experience, is capable of mentoring another person, another man or woman, another large group of people, and I think that's how we lead successfully in this country. It is exceptional to see people of your stature here, and so thank you for setting that model for us. You guys are fantastic. Another round of applause for these guys. They're great. So I'll just close by saying this. The world stage right now is quite something. The conversations, though, in this room, in this town, matter. I hope that we can be that gathering place where you come up with new technologies and new relationships and new partnerships that help us in the field, that help us across the globe. Because your role here in Hawaii is defense, but it extends beyond defense. I've had 3 disasters already as governor in just a short time, and each time you were there for my people. You were there for our people. You're there for the people across the country. People have been impressed how we dealt with COVID and a wildfire that took 102 lives in a whole city, and then a flood that affected our whole state. But that's what you do. That's what we can do together. And so it's the support, it's the humanitarian consideration, it's the kick-ass moments in the field, without a doubt, that you guys are amping here. But it's really the security of this entire region that I appreciate. So let me say this to all of you. Thank you for being here in Hawaii. Please come back. Please continue to think of this as another home for you and your family. Let this be a peaceful space psychologically and intellectually as you gear up for what we have to do in the country and across the globe. We, Hawaii, my wife and I, my team and I, are so grateful that you're here to help us advance our security, our energy goals, our land use. Really, everything that you do has been positive for me as governor. And as was eloquently said in the prayer in the pule, we know in a family we have had moments. We've had extraordinary moments, we've had tough moments. But the moments for our country and this state go forward. And I'm honored to be a small part of it. Thank you for being in Hawaii. We have such great respect for you. Aloha, and thank you, everyone.
Another round of applause for Governor Green. Sure, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my distinct honor to introduce my good friend, General Xavier Brunson. He is a man who has great hair. So much so, he has to wear 3 hats. Commander, U.S. Forces Korea, Commander, Combined Forces Command, and the Commander of UN Command in Korea. Xavier Brunson has led with distinction at every level, from company through subunified command. He is exceptionally well suited to speak today about prevailing through innovation and transformation and its essential role going forward. But what's most important for me to pass to this group is we've all heard the saying in many, many cultures that if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. I have had the privilege of going together with Xavier Brunson at every level since captain. So I take full responsibility for his success in the Army, having been his assignment officer. And the best assignment I ever made was to assign him as my desk mate, where we were able to forge a relationship that will last well beyond our time in uniform. Ladies and gentlemen, Xavier Brunson.
Okay, it is not lost on me that I'm the only person that's been up here thus far that's wearing one of these microphone things. What Clark will not tell you is that I used to wear a headset when we were at Old PersCom, and I think I innovated that. And I used to tell him I innovated that, and so I think that's why I'm wearing a headset. Nobody else has been up here thus far is wearing one. I would tell you another thing as we had our release of things done wrong. The first thing that flashed in my head is that if the towel that flew off my balcony yesterday hit you, I am indeed sorry. And it was not my fault. I put it up there in a high wind and it sailed away and I immediately ran back into my room. So to the Sheraton, please do not add that towel to my bill because I did not keep it. Someone else did. Aloha and good morning to you all. It's a great honor to be back here in Hawaii, a place that embodies the spirit of community and the vital connections that bind our nations together. This assembly is more than just a gathering of experts. It's a manifestation of our collective will to ensure that peace in the Indo Pacific remains an unshakable reality. I want to express my sincere gratitude to AUSA and to General Brown for hosting. This event brings us all together at such a critical time. It is truly a critical assembly of leaders. Governor Green, thank you for your remarks. As I told you, I thought you were going to be on video, so I was shocked when I saw you. I will tell you I am of moderate intelligence. I can speak. I just did not because I was shocked. So thank you for being here, sir. Your leadership provides a stable foundation of societal resilience upon which our regional security rests. The hospitality of the people of Hawaii provides an essential platform for the Joint Force. It provides and allows us to project strength and unity across the theater. And on behalf of all of our service members and their families, sir, we tell you thank you for being here. Though he's not here right now, I don't believe, I would also be remiss if I didn't mention Admiral Paparo and his leadership, his care and concern for me, whether in testimony or in trying to articulate the importance of the United States Forces Korea to the greater Indo Pacific, has been critical for our own growth and development as a command. So I thank you, boss, for all that you do for us and your continued insistence that the industrial base must move at the scale that we need it to, that we might continue to develop. And to my good friend Ron Clark, there are things typed in here that I will not read. I will just simply thank you for being a leader to me, being a mentor, and most assuredly being a lifelong friend. So thank you, and thank you for the United States Army Pacific. If you are a command sergeant major or a sergeant major and you're in this room right now, please stand. To you all, I would say from my Sergeant Major Albert Brunson, I would tell you this, Sergeant Major retired Albert Brunson, he's not still on active duty. You represent the morale, the body, and the soul of the Joint Force. While we sit in these halls discussing strategy, you all are the ones who ensure that our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Guardians are physically, mentally, and spiritually ready for the unforgiving hour. Our senior enlisted leaders are the ones who turn our strategic concepts into a combat reality on the ground. Thank you all for what you do for us. I'm here today to engage this vital cross-section of government, military, and industry leadership on a reality we cannot afford to ignore. We often discuss strategy in abstracts, but we must be clear-eyed. Strategic concepts only survive as long as they are backed by industrial endurance. It's one thing to have the will to fight. It's quite another to have the industrial capacity to sustain the fight across the vast reaches of the Indo Pacific. This intersection of readiness and industrial might is where our strategy meets the reality of the 21st century battlefield. The 2026 National Defense Strategy provides us with two clear lines of effort. One, supercharging the defense industrial base, and two, increasing burden sharing. And at first glance, these might seem like separate tasks, one for the factory floor and the other for the diplomatic table. But for land power, they are the same mission. We're the ones who manage the enterprise-level systems that keep the joint force fueled, armed, and operational. In this theater, sustainment is not the tail, it's the teeth. It's the teeth of our deterrence. Today, I want to discuss how we are connecting these lines of effort through a regional industrial architecture, which we have termed in Korea a fortress chain. It's where allies, partners, and industrial efforts shape the collective security of all our nations throughout the Indo Pacific. First, we must address what we're doing at home with our domestic industry partners. The NDS centers on deterrence by denial. This requires more than just the weapons we have today. It requires the industrial capacity to regenerate those weapons tomorrow. We are moving from an era of exquisite scarcity to an era of industrial scale mass. The battlefield has become a live lab, as we've seen in Ukraine. The traditional models of slow-moving procurement, years of requirements followed by decades of fielding, are being shredded. Innovation is now measured in weeks and not years. And this is a true revolution in military affairs. We are moving toward software-defined warfare where the code in a drone is as critical as the explosives in a warhead. The math of modern conflict is changing. In the Middle East, we see the limit of exquisite defense, using a multi-million-dollar interceptor to down a drone that costs less than a used car. That's a losing proposition. We cannot allow our adversaries to bankrupt our shield through simple fiscal asymmetry. That cost exchange ratio is a strategic vulnerability. We can no longer ignore it. To our U.S. industry partners, we need a radical commoditization of quick, easy, cheap kill. We need thousands of attritable, low-cost, unmanned systems and hypersonic weapons produced at speed of relevance. We must bridge the gap between the lab and the foxhole. We can no longer wait for the perfect 10-year solution when the threat evolves and is countered in a matter of days. We must prioritize the mass production of affordable, precise capabilities and ensure our data systems are interoperable from the factory all the way to the edge. Our adversaries are adapting quickly, but they will be stifled by our industrial resolve and overmatched by our capacity to innovate. However, here in the Indo Pacific, a robust domestic base is a hollow shell if we cannot project that power across the tyranny of distance. We cannot win if our supply lines are 5,000 miles long. And this is where burden sharing moves from a diplomatic concept to a physical reality. At USFK, we're advancing a regional sustainment architecture I call the Foundry. The objective is simple. We must industrialize the edge. We cannot shuttle broken equipment across an ocean for repair while an adversary evolves on our doorstep. The tyranny of distance is a strategic tax we'll no longer pay. On the peninsula, we're already fixing forward and have proven the concept. Korean dry docks have successfully overhauled the USNS Wally Schirra and Cesar Chavez, with 2 more ships already in the queue. This is the operational blueprint for the fortress chain. By leveraging special repair authority and weaponizing advanced manufacturing from 3D printing to local parts sourcing, we're transforming our theater footprint into a permanent deterrent. We're wiring the world-class infrastructure of our partners directly into our operational architecture, ensuring that our sustainment nodes are as lethal as our combat units. This isn't just cooperation. It's a strategic synchronization. A cord of many strands is not easily broken. And by weaving our industrial bases together, we become an unshakable force. And finally, we must address what our allies must do for themselves. The America First approach is not America alone. It's an America supported by a network of highly capable allies, and no one understands that more than those in this room. We'll share the weight of collective defense. In this new era, partnership is no longer defined by what we say, it'll be defined by what we build. The Republic of Korea is setting the pace by committing to a 3.5% global spending standard. Our Korean partners are proving themselves a resilient ally, and that's the best insurance against a common adversary. This isn't just about a number on a ledger, it's about military industrial autonomy. It's about building a self-reliant defense base that can stand on its own feet while contributing to the region as a whole. We're challenging our allies to meet this new global standard, and let me be absolutely clear. A strong ally is not a consumer of security, they're a producer of security. We're moving to an era where partners don't just buy our platforms. They must possess the sovereign capacity to sustain, repair, and evolve them. And they've got to be able to do that within their own borders. That's the true measure of a resilient alliance. Back at my command on the Korean Peninsula, our presence provides a permanent platform, an anchor on the Asian mainland that an adversary simply cannot solve. Our permanence is a strategic reality that complicates every calculation that our adversaries make. USFK's mission is to deter aggression and, if necessary, defend the Republic of Korea. But in the modern era, deterrence is as much about the factory floor as it is the foxhole. We are the vital fulcrum of Asia, and we are modernizing and industrializing that position every day to ensure it remains unassailable. Partners, allies, and leaders of industry, we must move with the speed of survival, not the speed of bureaucracy. Our adversaries have already taught us a hard lesson. Innovation does not wait for a budget cycle. They've demonstrated with chilling clarity that creative, low-cost adaptation can outpace massive defense spending. In this new era, agility, and not just mass, is the difference maker. We cannot afford to be an exquisite force that is too expensive to use and too slow to adapt. Our fortress chain must be a living, breathing, and synchronized engine capable of outpacing any adversary. Together, we demonstrate that strength paired with collective readiness is the ultimate guardian of peace, a true fortress for all our nations and interest here in the Indo Pacific. I thank you for your time and attention, and I look forward to your questions. Thank you. Wow, good gravy. I should have worn a t-shirt up here, a tank top or something. My liege, thank you, sir. Oh, so this is why I have this thing on. I heard my voice when I first walked up, and I was like, there's a ghost.
Yeah, well, hey, X, you'll get an opportunity to change it to tank top and do some more PT a little bit later on today. So it's all good. Hey, sir, Mick Bednarik, Floor Corporation. Number one, thanks for your comments. And you touched on a couple things that certainly will resonate, not only with our allies and partners here, but across the defense industrial base, that a lot of the teammates in this audience are here and how we can help. So a couple things, and you mentioned your recent congressional testimony, and I know J.D. Thurman's going to grade my paperwork here in a minute, but and yeah, there's some of us that actually listen to congressional testimonies every now and then, but you touched on the defense industrial base, and more specifically, what you're doing in USFK about this regional sustainment hub and how we can help and partner not only alongside of our allies and partners, but from the industrial base, small, medium, and large corporations, of how we can help and assist. If you could neck that down a little bit more for us, and how else the defense industrial framework and corporations can assist from all of your efforts across the pen. Thank you, sir.
No, hey, thank you, sir, and it's always great to see you. I appreciate it. And let me mention before I start answering questions that it's not just the people I've met in the Pacific, but all my heroes are in this room who I've had the great opportunity to serve with over the course of my 35 years wearing the uniform. And thank you all for continuing to show up. Thank you for coming here. And if I could ask you to do one thing for me, you have to take the time, while you have this time here in Hawaii, to give yourself over to the active pursuit of thought. It's not a passive activity. You have to take time to think about how you might go about solving problems. If you don't do that, there will never be another time for you to do this. And that's going to give me two things. And if you shoot me an email, I'll tell you what the third I is. But what we need is, we need folk who are going to be investors of new thought, and we need people who are going to be initiators and instigators of new thought. And I'll give you the third I if you shoot me an email, okay? But we have to do that because conferences like this, you could come in here, you could listen to me babble for a little bit, you probably picked up a third of what I said, but you can give yourself over to some thought. Sit with leaders, sit with people from other nations. Take the time to think about how we might solve problems differently. On to the Regional Sustainment Hub. The most important thing any soldier, sailor, airman, or Marine can do is to figure out the implied task. Is to look at something that you've got to accomplish and say, nobody told me to build a regional sustainment hub, but I look at the fact that there's a whole lot of water, kid from Fayetteville, North Carolina, whole lot of water, whole lot of distance between land masses. You heard the governor talk about this isolated landmass that Hawaii is. That's a long way from Korea. It is as far, in theater, from Guam to the fight, potentially, as it is from San Francisco to the fight. They're both about 11 hours, okay? That's a lot of distance that's got to be covered. The idea of the Regional Sustainment Hub is to look at the classes of supply, to include repair and sustainment, to include additive manufacturing. Bring that to a place so that my boss now has different apertures of sustainment. If you don't think that sustainment is an operation, you're wrong. It will take offensive or defensive operations to enable sustainment in the future. The potential to strike is so high that we can't have just a way to solve problems in the future. Now, we all learn redundancy, and we think about breaches when we think about that. We need 50% redundancy at the breach site. Well, imagine the fact that a sustainment operation is, in fact, a breach of sorts. You are penetrating the enemy's A2AD, trying to sustain an effort that's going forward. So my thoughts were, how do I do that for my boss? That's another one, right? If you want to be successful, solve your boss's problems. Even the problems that he doesn't know that he has, solve those things. So the idea was, it really started with me calling General Clark and saying, hey, have you heard about this freeze-dried plasma thing? And he goes, yeah, we're going to get a couple of pints of this, blah, blah, blah. And I go, well, you know it only has a 2-year shelf life. I said, what if I spent my money, my O&M money, and bought this freeze-dried plasma and started training people when they rotate on Peninsula. I train them on this freeze-dried plasma. And then I keep a store of it, and if my boss ever needs it, he can ask me for it, and I'll find out how I'm going to get it to him. And then we said, well, what if we had other classes of supply? What if we partnered with GM Defense, and we got these ISVs in Korea, and we took those 15,000 employees in GM Defense and turned them into fixing our stuff as opposed to sending it back to Detroit, maybe. I don't know where it would go in the States, but a depot somewhere else, right? I just fix it right in Korea. And then if we get special authorities, we begin to generate those parts with 3D printing. We bring Rock Island, those of you in the Army know about Rock Island, we bring Rock Island forward. Much like we're doing maintenance, repair, and overhaul with ships, what if we spread that across domains? So see, that's the art of the possible. That's why you build a regional sustainment hub, so that people have other choices. And I'm looking at you, Joe. Joe, stand up, Joe. Joe's the 8th Army commander. And Joe's going to help us to leverage all that our Army is doing with the Transformation Initiative to bring that forward into theater so we can avail all the services of it. It's really easy to just sit and say, this is the Army lane, this is the Navy lane, this is the Marine lane, this is the SOC Corps lane, this is the Space Force K. But what we've got to do is be able to sustain the fight. And my belief is that everybody's got nuclear subs now. In the years of us climbing on troop ships, you know this picture. Anybody who's seen The Longest Day? Climbing on a troop ship, up to the side, hopping in with your bedroll and everything, and steaming across the water to get somewhere. What people have learned is if you allow us and our allies to build an Iron Mountain, you're going to be in for a fight. You are absolutely going to be in for a fight. And they're not going to allow that to happen. So we have to become more self-sufficient. As we look at these pockets, and it's not just sufficiency for yourself, it's sufficiency for others in the region. Friends, partners, allies have to all be able to be supported from a regional sustainment hub-like construct. That answer? Okay, thanks, sir. Appreciate the question.
General Brunson, Damian Mason.
What up,
Thank
Dame?
you. Good to see you.
Thank
you for your remarks. And with the 3 hats that you wear, how do you see the Davidson window affecting the 3 commands that you look after?
Here's something that, first of all, I appreciate the Davidson window because it gives us a bound, right? But what I do has been going on since 75 years ago. And that is with my first hat with the United Nations Command and sustaining that alliance that is the United Nations Command is I'm always on guard. Regardless of what's happening in that window, the sustainment of the armistice is absolutely sacrosanct. It cannot be violated, right? What we've got to do now is we've got to try to find a way to access the emotion of 75 years ago. And so to that end, Scott, stand up. Scott's my deputy. Scott Winter, Australian Army, is my deputy for UN Command. So what we're trying to do now is we're trying to say, understand that window. We have to be ready for a high order fight potentially, right? So that's readiness, and we continue to generate readiness on the peninsula. But one of the things that I'm most concerned with is how something can be used for a pretext. And what I mean by that is simply this. If I can't sustain the armistice, I have to start really thinking strategically is the things that were going on in Yemen, was that really Saudi Arabia v. Iran, or was that U.S. v. Iran by the provision of lethal aid? Is the fight in Ukraine, is that Ukraine v. Russia, or is that the United States v. Russia by the provision of lethal aid? Those things could be pretexts, is what I'm talking about, Damien, because what I'm worried about is how do I keep us, this alliance, in the right position so that DPRK could not be used as pretext to draw us into something else? So we always have to be thinking about that. Like, what is it we're seeing? If we just take things at the surface, we learn the wrong lessons. So people will tell you that the lesson from the fight in Ukraine is drones, 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 drones. I beg to differ. I beg to differ. That's surface, and that's easy. Don't Occam's razor strategic things. Don't just say the simplest solution is going to be the solution. That's not it. What we've got to really start thinking about is posture. Where did it start from? Where are people going? Protection. How are they protecting their forces? There's lessons to be learned there because that's the fight of the future. How do you protect yourself? And then sustainment. How are you going to sustain the fight? Either internally or externally, and what are those lines that are going to allow you to do those things? So the Davidson window doesn't bother me as much as my preparedness to take best advantage of the posture that I've achieved on the peninsula, okay? The protection that I can afford my soldiers, the people of the Republic of Korea, and the people of the United States of America, and then how do I sustain that thing? So back to the first overly long answer I gave, that's a sustainment piece of that. I've got to sustain this alliance. We're trying to build a core, which is the staff, Damien, that's in that headquarters that continues to keep eyes on, this unblinking eye that says we're going to watch this so that this doesn't lead us to something that we don't want to be in right now. And then there's a core The people that came before, for example, Italy provided hospitals to North Korea and South Korea during the fight. Well, am I really looking for hospitals when I have 3 field hospitals in Korea already? No. But what I am looking for is for Italy to commit to a forward resuscitative surgical team. That I do need. And so we've got to access folk to try to bring them back into the fight so that the Davidson window is a thing in one of the 2 other warfighting headquarters that I have, while not forgetting the main thing for us, which is there's 75 years of peace that we've got to sustain on the peninsula, to give time for diplomacy, to give time for continued building of readiness, even to make space for OPCON transfer. That's what the UN command has to do. I think that was a thumbs up. I'm not wearing my glasses, so I saw something move where I know you were when you sat down, so I think we're good. Thank you, Damien.
General Brunson. Frank
Sir,
Associate.
how are you?
I'm good, brother. I'm going to get a little off track here.
Okay.
It's not every day anybody in this audience gets a chance to talk to the CFC commander. And it's all clear to all of us, you're constantly on our mind. It's constantly in the news. You live in a very difficult neighborhood to your north and to your west. I ask this question of just about every CFC commander I've known. What keeps you up at night?
I wish I had a snare drum so I could say my wife. You know, what really keeps me awake at night is the potential for us to be driven to do something that we're not quite ready for, that we would put timelines on things that require the development of expertise. That keeps me up at night. What keeps me up at night is that we might be confounded by the pursuit of numbers without looking at what are the true capabilities necessary. So when I talk to General Clark, I'm always talking about not the numbers that I have on the peninsula. When I'm talking to Joe, I'm not just talking about numbers. What I'm talking about is the capabilities necessary to prosecute until help comes. So what concerns me right now is if you talk to folks, they don't recognize what's on the peninsula right now. What's really on the peninsula is a CAB, a rotational brigade, okay, and a counterfires task force. You and I both fought bigger formations as colonels, right? That's what's there. The bulk of the formation that's on the peninsula is there simply to get folk to the fight and to send families home. And this is why I say we can't be confounded by numbers, and I worry about this all the time, that for the sake of 28.5, we don't go far enough to get the right capabilities there so that we can prosecute until help comes. And what keeps me awake, it doesn't really keep me awake, what keeps me awake is I eat really late, and my mind won't stop spinning. And I'm always thinking, like, how would I fight this when I don't have enough to really fight? If it takes us 90 days to move a Stryker brigade from Matt, I think it's still 90 days, right? Matt McFarland, the commander of 1st Corps, when he rotates a brigade to me, it's about 90 days for that kit to get there. Now, because I think I'm better than I actually am, I told my staff, we got to be able to fight for 60 days. At least maybe that ship would get picked up on radar and somebody will say, whoa, don't go now. But what keeps me awake is, how do you fight without the critical, credible capabilities on the pen? So to that end, we want to get an MDTF in Korea. I'm not looking at General Clark, I'm looking at these gentlemen behind General Clark. We want to get an MDTF in Korea. Why? Because it opens you up to those ephemeral domains that can do great, great things in competition. Cyber, EW, space. And maybe even open us up to commercial space, right? So I mentioned earlier, drones. I think you say, at the start of Ukraine, drones got characterized. Where we are today, snap the chalk line, continue to spin and develop inside of there. Drones should be version 1, version 2, version 3, version 4, but what's the next thing? And I think the next thing is commercial space. Think about this. There are in low Earth orbit tons of commercial satellites. Everybody wants to watch TV and be on the internet. So that'll be the last thing to get attacked. But if you could find a way to leverage commercial space, then you maybe have assured positioning and navigation and timing, the ability to see, sense, and understand faster than our adversaries. So we can't just be stuck in saying drones, 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 drones. We have to keep thinking about the next thing, and that keeps me awake. Because I don't know if anybody's looking at the next thing, because oftentimes we learn the wrong lessons, and we get stuck with them because it's easy, and we just stay there. Drones. What if people had stayed from World War I to World War II, we had just stayed with the tank? The tank was an asymmetric move. It allowed us to get from trench 1 to trench 2, right? That's what it allowed us to do. I mean, think about what people were doing. There was no tank gunnery. I'm looking at you, General Thurman. There was no table 8, no table 12. It was get behind this tank and let's go to the next trench line. That was it. I worry that we might get stuck into going to the next trench line without going further to the objective. And that's why I say, listen, I am not against lessons, development of drones. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is we can't be stuck there. We have to keep going forward. Warfare, if nothing, is about offsets. And what I continue to think about when I'm awake at night in the bed is, what is the next offset? Because if we don't think about that, if we don't give ourselves to the thought of the next offset, we'll be doing drones 10 years from now and thinking that's still the way. You know? We've done some of the things that are going to carry us forward with manned-unmanned teaming, but we got to take that to all domains. Could you imagine cyber attacks that are manned-unmanned teaming? Cyber defense that's manned-unmanned teaming? Maybe this machine continues to find where the vulnerabilities are, and we patch right on the spot. And then we look for the vulnerabilities in those who are attacking us. I think that that's a thing, too. But we don't give ourselves over to that enough. And that's my concern, because it's late in the day for me. You know? It's like a Western. The sun's going down. I'm about to ride off into the sunset soon. And what I worry about is we don't give ourselves over to thought enough. As a joint force, as a combined force, we don't give ourselves over to thought enough to be on to the next thing. And then what we do is we damn those in here who are younger than 59. We absolutely damn them. That keeps me awake.
Sir, thank you so much for being here. Please give General Brunson a big round of applause.
Hey, Jack.
Well done.
Thank you so much.
Well, thanks again, General Brunson. I think we can all agree a great start to LANPAC 2026. We're going to take a short break. Please join us in the exhibit halls for some refreshments. Today's refreshment break is sponsored by Fluor. So we'll see you back here at 10:45, and we'll kick off the first panel titled Education, Training, and Experience, Optimizing People and Performance.
Nothing. Yeah, maybe if I drink a cup of coffee at dinner. Yeah. Alex, let's move this forward about 6 inches.
I don't think any, I think we can probably just slide if we need it. Yeah. Because you got enough board.
Is it 2 how many tables? You want to have a look at like 2 minutes to do it, or?
Yeah, I know. I'm not really that excited about the 8-hour flight, but you're probably used to that kind of stuff. But I would say, Alan or Troy told me, I'm not going I'm the vice president of AUSA.
This